I'm no longer there. Like, I'm being forgotten. I can't be that person that people want to hang out with anymore because I can't be hung out with. I'm in a state that's 1,500 miles away from where I'm from. I feel like I'm the worst person at starting the video because it feels so unnatural in an empty room to just be like, hey, welcome back. How's everybody doing? But I guess, yeah, welcome back. Hope everyone's okay. Today we have kind of some updates to talk about. I've been gone for about 2 months. I posted like a little update last week, but this is actually going to be a sit-down style video for this episode. But again, thanks for coming back and let's get into it. Okay, so things have been pretty great. I feel like a lot of the problems I was having with social media have kind of dwindled. I do use it daily, but my screen time has dropped. Mostly screen time is up now because I spend a lot of time on YouTube replying to comments, or checking social media for messages, things like that, just to kind of keep in touch with everybody, trying to build a little community. But it's not in the sense of where I can't just put it down and go do something now. It's actually kind of productive and it's helping me with a creative outlet, and it's also connecting me to people, which is really interesting. And I have a really, really great time going through the comments, especially on the video before my last. Everybody in that comment section is so kind, and it blows me away to actually see people want to respond with more than just like a couple sentences. I'm getting full paragraphs from people of all age groups telling me about how much that video helped them realize how much social media has been affecting them and how it helped them. So I'm just really glad to have people that I can have genuine conversations with, even if it is in just a comment section. I think I mentioned it in the past, but social media seems to be like the biggest topic of the Glow Up, Grow Up series, which is kind of a good thing, but also kind of a bad thing because it's not necessarily the only thing that I want to work on for myself. It's also my hygiene, my mental health, my social media outlets and how I treat them and how I can use them for tools instead of just using them as a way to escape reality, being a better wife, being a better homemaker, taking care of my space, and also just getting out of my house. I've spent a lot of time indoors. When we were in Iowa, it was winter, and I'm a very outdoorsy person, but when you only have one vehicle that can drive in the snow and it's like -20 outside, it gets a little depressing when you're not going anywhere. So over the next few months, I would like to spend more time outdoors, especially being here. Vermont's only like 2 hours away from where we're at. On the door to our RV, we actually have the map of the US, and we're trying to get all of the Northeast states while we're here. I think that we need to get Maine. We've been to Pennsylvania, we've been to New Jersey. Don't particularly want to go back to New York just because of the experience we had with our fifth wheel. That was awful. But I want to spend more time outside, and our only rule is that we need to either stay the night in that state or we need to go do something for an entire day. So if it's a day hike in Vermont, or I don't know, that's all I can think of right now. But I really plan to just get myself out more. My ability to function as a person, like anxiety-wise, it's almost gone. Now, it's not completely, because you can't just like get rid of anxiety, make it go away, but it does get easier to manage. And I really feel like now that I've gotten away from social media in the way that I was using it, that I really am just more confident in myself, and I don't doubt who I am anymore. I don't feel that pressure to conform to a very specific style or way of speaking or who I need to be or what I need to have. Now, aside from making YouTube content and spending my time online responding to those comments or on the social media platforms I have tied in with that YouTube content, what I've been trying to do instead of just mindlessly scrolling is looking into things that actually interest me and will educate me on certain things. I have a big interest in bouldering right now. I'm very interested in hiking and what I need to do a day hike, what would make it safe, what supplies do I need, what are the best shoes, researching sustainable brands to buy outdoors equipment with, just things like that. I didn't delete any of them, but I have all of my other social media platforms disabled at the moment, where they're not logged in. The account still exists, but you can't see it from either side, the public or me. But that's only because there's things on there that I want to keep, like messages between certain people or posts that I didn't want to go and just screenshot. I kind of want to keep that memory alive, but I can access it at any point in time, but it's not something that I can just directly just go straight to and just start scrolling again, because the algorithm on the accounts that I've recently made is not built. So I'm hoping that if it does build a specific algorithm for me, that it's more educational and more about the hobbies that I'm interested in and not just brain rot. But I think the biggest thing that I wanted to touch on today was, and I'm sure by the title you can kind of figure that out, and it sounds really depressing to say the phrase, I have no friends. But it's really not. 2 years ago, when me and my husband started to change our way of living, where we no longer indulged in alcohol heavily, we decided to take a step back and try to better ourselves. It already made certain relationships with family and friends kind of strained. It made relationships with certain friends and family just really difficult, because when you start cutting things out like alcohol, or staying out really late, or eating a very specific way, you tend to kind of become a little bit more reclusive, because you don't want to be around those things. You want to be around those people, but you don't want to be around those temptations to just get back into the same lifestyle that you tried so hard to get away from. And it started then, for me personally. I can't speak on my husband's experience, but for me personally, it started then when people started to back up a little bit. Look at my tea bag. I mean, it started with just trying to get away from the same thing every day. Getting away from, especially alcohol, for me was a huge deal. I was almost dependent on it to an extent, where I wouldn't go out unless I had access to alcohol. I didn't feel like going, because I was like, there's no point in me doing that. I'm not gonna have fun. I want to drink. But that's a story for a different time, with alcohol and all that kind of stuff. That should be a separate video on its own, honestly. And I can do that if anybody wants to hear about why I quit drinking and all the things that followed that. Just let me know in the comments down below. But it started then when certain relationships started to fade out a little bit more than I had expected them to. And then a year and a half after we changed our lifestyle and we started going to the gym and eating better and not going out for drinks or staying out super late if there was alcohol involved, my husband got a new job offer. And first of all, it's one of the coolest jobs in the world, but it allows us to travel and see the United States together. He's had previous traveling jobs, but it was really difficult for him to be able to take me with him, so I would stay home and he would go and come back and forth. So this was a very interesting change in the way we were living. We're finally able to go and explore together. And the first job, which was the last 6 months, my relationships with people were great for the first 2 months. And then I felt like I'm kind of getting forgotten. You try to hold a conversation with some people and it's just one-sided, or it dead ends suddenly and it doesn't pick back up, or you kind of just feel like I'm no longer there. I'm being forgotten. I can't be that person that people want to hang out with anymore because I can't be hung out with. I'm in a state that's 1,500 miles away from where I'm from. And it was really hard in the beginning. And you almost kind of start to force those relationships where you try to force conversations and you try to keep them up and do things to keep those people interested. And then you start to, trying to think of the best way to explain this. You don't really get over it. I think it just depends on where you're at in your headspace. But for me, when I started to pull away from social media and I started to pull away from forcing a relationship that may or may not work out, I started to become very confident and comfortable with who I am and very content being by myself. And it used to really bother me. I used to be a very, very lonely person. I'm a very family-oriented person, so moving across the country was kind of hard because I was always around family. At least once a week, I was with my grandparents from either side of my family. I would be with my parents. I would be with family friends that were so close they might as well have been family. It was a weird change, but I don't have any friends, and I'm okay with that. And it's so weird to say that. And it's so strange to just be happy with being this way. And of course, I don't want to be alone. Like, I have family that I still talk to, and the occasional person that wants to speak with me from back home. That's really enlightening and great to be able to have a conversation. But when it comes down to like real friends, it's almost non-existent in my life. But now that I think of it, from the perspective of you don't need to force relationships, why can't we also just be okay with the people that come and go in our lives? Why do we have to force that relationship? Why can't we just be okay with meeting some random person and knowing them for 2 months and then going on and getting to say that you experienced something really great and wholesome with that person and you didn't force it and it just happened and it's a enjoyable experience for both of you. And if you continue to speak after that, that's amazing. But also, if the relationship fades out, why does it have to be such a bad thing? There are thousands of people that you're going to meet in your life. Why let a couple of relationships that may or may not work out and you're the only one fighting for them to stay afloat? Why force them? Just let them happen. And if those people come back into your life, cherish that they're there. But if they also decide to leave again, let them. And I feel like that is just such a brilliant way that the world works. We're meant to come and go, and that's fine. It's okay to feel lonely. And it's okay to surround yourself with a bunch of people to make yourself happy. But it's also okay to be alone. And it's also okay to not force a relationship. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that nobody should have friends and it's okay to never hang out with people or meet people or experience new things with other people and you should live alone in your tiny little home in solitude. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it should be okay to let these people just kind of flow in and out of your life. And if the two of you seem to mesh really well, and that relationship is strong without any kind of forceful interactions, then let it happen. I just think I'm on this path to self-discovery and learning to love myself for who I really am and setting my boundaries on how I feel I should be treated or the people that are going to come and go in my life, how to treat them. And I think I'm okay with being where I'm at right now. Oddly. I never thought I would say that. I'm not the kind of person typically that would say something like that, but the relationships that I do have with people that I talk to daily are so deeply embedded that there is no force behind them. And those are the kind of relationships that I cherish and I want to keep. And I hope that this is all making sense it's kind of a weird thing to explain, and I'm hoping that the people who watch this take something from it, or if there's anybody that knows me personally that kind of feels like, hey man, I thought we were friends. Well, that's why I'm kind of leaving it a little cryptic, because there are people that I don't really have a relationship with anymore, that I'm okay with kind of letting go of, and then there's people that I am really close with. So it's kind of like I don't want to cause an issue anywhere in that realm, but if this seems like it's speaking to that person or those people, then maybe it's just that's how it's got to be. But my intention with this is not to say you can live your entire life alone and you don't have to rely on anybody. Well, you shouldn't rely on other people, and you should be okay with being alone, but you're not destined to be that way, and it is okay to make friends, obviously. But it's just that sometimes I think we're all gonna go through this part in our life where we're figuring our shit out. And for some of us, this is the experience that we need to have. And I've never heard anybody explain it in the way that I'm explaining it. So I figured that the best I could do is just get out there and let other people know, like, this is how I feel, and maybe this will resonate with somebody else, but I'm okay with this, and I'm ready to learn more about myself and figure myself out. And maybe I'll meet some people along the way that will make this journey worthwhile. But that's really all I have for today. I kind of rambled on about that a little longer than I thought I would. But again, I hope that all makes sense, and I hope that somebody took something from that. But again, this is my Grow Up, Glow Up series. So what makes sense to me might not make sense to you, but again, I'm documenting it because maybe somebody else will take what I said and it'll be valuable to them. So that's all I have. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like and please subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.